Like
Right.
I got hacked twice, and they stole from my bank. And obviously, thanks to the bank, after like maybe
You got hacked twice?
twice, dude.
What could you tell us some practical, actionable steps that we as individuals or even corporations can take to protect ourselves from these horrible bad guys?
You can never own a perfectly secure system.
Yeah.
True, yeah. There's
It's a
always
myth,
a way.
right? There's no
always a
100%
way.
secure
No
system.
way. Zero-day attacks are probably the most difficult to detect.
budget for
So,
ransom.
yes, I mean, like
That is
I think they
crazy.
prepare themselves.
What?
Yeah, in advance. Millions of dollars of security investments, and still they got hacked. 40 million credit card information got stolen.
Wow.
See, and
60
these are
million.
people who are just like investing and paying for cybersecurity, man.
But one idiotic employee, and I'm sorry for using the term idiot. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too harsh. Let's
Actually,
just
no,
say-
just
no,
use it.
not
It is true.
idiotic. I'm sorry.
Naive.
Let's just say
naive is a nicer word.
ignorant.
That's true. That's the
That's
first thing that I
that's
do.
the first thing I do
That's very good.
from any email that I receive.
One of my friends fell for this, and he ended up paying 50 grand for no reason.
Wow, man. Do you remember when Microsoft itself got hacked? This is unrelated to the SolarWinds incident, but Microsoft Exchange servers were also infected with malware, if you remember. One of the reasons the hackers attacked CD Projekt Red was because they were not happy with the results. No, they were not happy with the game. You remember how glitchy the game was?
It was.
We've heard
Not
Garmin.
only Canon, Acer.
Acer got hacked and they demanded
$50
$50
million.
million. And Garmin was hacked. They demanded $10 million.
At the end, it was one employee, not even from Target,
Oh my
from one of their
God.
third-party vendors.
You never know.
So these customers
See, that's what I'm
unknowingly,
saying. You would
This is
never
the
know.
crazy part. And the way I remember when I was reading the news, the way they got hacked was through an update. So the malware infiltrated their systems.
Is also when you click on it, it doesn't only steal, but once you click on it, you also send it to your friends.
Ah, yes, there's another type.
Yeah,
Let us tell us more about this
it
type of
sends
attack.
it to your friends, like to your contacts, like on WhatsApp, and,
Yeah, so-
and it shows that you're sending it.
Yeah, this type
So-
of malware that infects your phone and starts
Exactly.
sending itself
it's
out.
called an account takeover.
Hello and welcome to the Adam and Nart Show. On today's episode, we're going to talk about cybersecurity, and I have my dear friend here, Anas. He's a cybersecurity consultant, and my brother Adam, and we're going to talk about this furthermore.
Hey guys, how are you doing? How are you doing, Nart?
I'm doing well, man.
How are you doing, Anas?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to
good
our
to be
show.
here.
It's amazing to have you, man. Anas is our consultant, is a cybersecurity consultant, and we are so happy to have him. We know him also personally. Thank you, Anas, for coming to the show. So what can you tell us, Anas, about cybersecurity?
Well, cybersecurity is the practice, the process, the technology that you use to protect your assets, your data, anything that you hold valuable digitally. So I like to use an analogy over here. Imagine that your assets, your valuable data is, the house. The house is in the middle of nowhere. It's out in the wilderness.
Okay.
How do you protect your assets? How do you protect that house? What do you do? What's the first thing that you would think of?
You have to have good locks.
Yes.
Good locks, good
of course.
surveillance.
Locks everywhere.
Yeah.
Surveillance.
Surveillance, CCTV, obviously.
CCTV, cameras, secure the place.
Yeah.
Maybe a fence around the house.
Absolutely.
Maybe
Exactly.
a gate as well to stop
Excellent analogy.
people
Yeah.
from going in.
Good safes in the house where I can put my personal belongings and stuff.
Extra layer of
Valuable.
protection. Yes, exactly. Yes.
If you wanna, if it's a very important house, maybe have a bodyguard as well.
True.
Yes.
Hire a bodyguard to stop anyone from trying to enter, anyone that you wouldn't want inside. Cybersecurity works in a similar way, right? So the house itself is the data, your assets that you're trying to protect, and then the gate, CCTV, the cameras, the bodyguard, the locks, they're all cybersecurity technologies and controls that you install to make sure that no one unauthorized
Intrudes your house.
Yeah.
gets into your house. No one to steal data, to maybe attack you, to maybe do anything malicious that you wouldn't want them to do. This is cybersecurity. It's the equivalent, but from a cyber perspective. So what kind of threats are we talking about here? Because, in the analogy, we can think about thieves, you can think about dangerous animals, you can think about anyone who could, break in and do harmful things. For cybersecurity, it can be threats like malware, viruses, worms, Trojan horses. Ransomware is a popular example nowadays. And then you can talk about things like even non-technical methods like social engineering. Social engineering is something that anyone can do. You can do social engineering.
Yeah, non-technical.
Attack. It's non-technical. It's something that anyone can do. If you're looking over someone's shoulder, that's social engineering to get their password, for example. If you're going through shredded documents in a dumpster that belong to a company, that's social engineering. That's another type of attack. That's what cybersecurity is about.
Right. I think which brings us to the next question. What are the types of threats out there? Like we talked briefly about malware that includes Trojan horses and viruses and ransomware, right? What other threats are out there, Anas?
Malware obviously is historically that's how it started, right? So these viruses.
It's a big topic, yeah.
It is a very, very big topic.
Yeah. It's a very big topic, yeah.
And
let's
we're
start
just
with malware then.
breaching the surface. Malware. So if you want to talk about malware, there's a lot of types of malware that you can use.
Right.
I mentioned some of them already. So
Yes.
there you have the viruses.
Yeah.
You have the worms.
Yes.
Trojan horse.
Which looks like something, but it's not.
Looks like something from their enemies.
Yeah. It's
It looks
deceiving.
like something genuine.
Yeah.
But it has malicious code.
Yes.
It has something malicious inside that you wouldn't know about, and
Right.
it will only be clear once you install or open that application. It's something that we all can fall victims to because it looks legit.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
One of the most popular type of malwares that we see every day, and everyone, not only companies but even people, can be susceptible to, which is ransomwares.
Yeah, tell us more about ransomware. That is a huge topic.
It's a huge topic.
Yeah.
It's a money-making machine for the bad guys.
Yeah.
And we're talking about billions of dollars every single year
Yeah.
being, being taken by, where people, for many companies, happily pay for, actually. So imagine you're in a position where your hands are tied. There's nothing you can do except pay the bad guy.
Extortion.
Because he has
Everything.
He has the keys to your
Exactly,
data.
to blackmail you. So that's the reason why
So-
they end
so-
up paying them.
Yeah, but hold on a sec. Anas, why don't you first of all define ransomware? What is it? How does it happen? And can you give us examples?
Yes. So how does ransomware work? How does it start? So obviously, it's a piece of malware, which means it's a piece of software code that does,
Malicious.
does something malicious, something
Yeah.
bad. So you need a way. The hacker, first of all, needs a way to deliver it to you. It could be through email.
The payload, yeah.
Yeah, it could be through an email, through an attachment or a link in an
So
email.
he needs like a gateway, a way to
An
access,
entry method.
Yeah, an entry
Yeah.
method to
Yes.
just go in
Yeah,
to plant himself there.
Yes.
to get this ransomware to
Yes.
you, to your network, to your computer. So the ransomware could actually work. And so one thing is email, perhaps the network, if they have access to your computer, your passwords. There are so many ways a hacker or a threat actor can deliver a ransomware to you. I'm just listing the most popular ways.
Right.
Probably the most popular out of them all is emails.
Emails,
and,
yeah.
As a fun fact, 94% of threats
Come from emails.
come from emails.
Absolutely.
It's
By
a
opening those
huge
attachments, you mean?
Yeah. So
Right.
Because it is
email,
easier to just like go for it and to just like click it.
Yeah.
Email, despite being an archaic technology, remains to be the biggest factor to these cybersecurity threats.
Right.
Because everyone has emails.
True.
And everyone uses emails. especially companies, to
Ubiquitous.
communicate, with their third-party vendors, to communicate with their clients, to communicate with
Right.
each other, right? So we
True.
all use emails. Once the ransomware gets delivered, obviously you'll have to click on it. You'll have to interact with it, do something where this ransomware opens, and it starts to. And once that happens, it starts to encrypt your data. So this is how it works. You open it, it encrypts all your data.
But
and
Anas, does it happen immediately? I think it doesn't
it's
happen
very
immediately.
fast.
Extremely
Yes.
fast, yeah, dude.
Wait, all
Very-
of it,
we're
all of the
talking
types
about
are like
seconds.
that? I mean, it doesn't.
Well,
Isn't it
yeah,
supposed to
it's-
work stealthily in the background? That's what I heard about
It
ransomware.
depends,
It's
yeah.
stealthy.
It depends.
You don't even know it's there.
It depends. If you're talking about large organizations, obviously they have millions of dollars of security investments.
Yeah, you don't want to
Right.
sound off the alarms.
You don't want to sound off the alarms.
Yeah,
You have to
yeah.
be sneaky peeky,
Yeah.
ninja your way.
They
through
go
it.
like-
Depends on your target.
They're
they
smart.
go
They're
like in
sophisticated.
increments.
So the malware doesn't execute immediately, like conspicuously. Let's say the right
no,
term.
it does not. It could.
Sometimes-
It could.
Yeah.
If you're just a small company and you're
Yeah.
not running nothing but an antivirus, for example,
Yeah.
chances are any ransomware type of application could probably do the job without needing to be very stealthy about it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But usually it happens within seconds, and it works just like a virus, right? So
Wow.
it infects the first computer, and then it starts to probe the network for other devices
that's
where it could
crazy,
spread,
man.
move laterally.
It's like a
Wow.
virus.
Yeah,
It's like a
exactly
grid
a virus.
system.
Yeah.
And this is how it gets from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E until eventually your entire, all your devices are infected. All your data.
I like to use the
is
term
locked.
infested.
Infested. It is an infestation.
Yeah.
It is. It is an infestation.
with this.
And as soon as that happens, your data is encrypted.
Right.
What's the only way you can retrieve that data? It's
The key.
encrypted with the keys. And
Yes.
who holds the keys?
Them, the bad
they
guys.
hold it. Exactly. So there's nothing you can do.
But
Well, there
Anas,
are.
I heard there are two types of keys for ransomware. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I heard that there's the first type of ransomware key is the non-changing type. So it's only one key that decrypts the entire thing. And the
Yeah.
other type of ransomware key is the type that constantly changes. Is this correct?
Yeah. So are you referring to symmetric or asymmetric?
Yeah, that's the one. Symmetric and asymmetric, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, there are many types of ransomwares that are being used. Some are less sophisticated, some are more.
Yeah.
Obviously, the ones that are very sophisticated, use these type of keys that could change, that could make it harder, because there are actually ways to retrieve your data, or a chance rather to retrieve your data,
Right.
without paying the bad guy.
How?
And-
How is that possible?
Well, obviously, you'll need to be an expert in the field.
Right.
You'll need to
In the
know
field of
certain
what, like
techniques.
cybersecurity too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can just like reverse the whole thing?
Yeah. So you'll need to have information like what type of key is being used, what type of what's the name of ransomware that is being used, the file, the encrypted file, before and after.
Whether or not there's backup, right?
Backup, obviously, of
Yeah.
course. That's what normally people. So if you want to talk about how to, what's one of the best ways to combat ransomware,
Yeah.
it's backups.
Exactly.
They
Should always
encrypt your
backup.
data.
Yeah.
Have a backup of it.
Absolutely.
And,
But Anas, let's talk a little bit about real examples here.
Yeah.
If you remember a couple of years ago, there were high cases, like high-profile cases of ransomware during COVID. If you remember, of course, you're in the field. We've heard cases like Canon getting hacked. We've heard
Not
Garmin.
only Canon, Acer.
Acer got hacked and they demanded $50 million. And Garmin was hacked. They demanded $10 million. And also one of the biggest hacks was SolarWinds. Remember SolarWinds?
Yeah.
And SolarWinds is a Texas-based company that...
But they ended up paying.
It's a tech company.
Yeah, but the problem with SolarWinds that had thousands of clients, including Microsoft,
Which all got affected by it.
got affected
Yeah.
because they all got hacked. And the way I remember when I was reading the news, the way they got hacked was through an update. So the malware infiltrated their systems. What was SolarWinds providing exactly? Services, infrastructure services?
So computer software.
Yeah, computer software.
software,
So they infected their systems, and then they infected all their clients through an update, including Microsoft.
Right.
Yeah. So that was crazy. Can you tell us exactly how can something like this possibly happen?
Yeah, well, you'd imagine that SolarWinds would spend millions and millions of dollars in security technologies
Exactly.
and have not one or two,
And
but
then
hundreds.
they get hacked.
They get hacked,
Yeah, hundreds of security professionals, security staff, security specialists.
We're not talking amateurs here. We're talking professionals.
Professionals, and hundreds of them. And their one job is to prevent things like
this
that from happening.
from happening and getting hacked.
And rigorous, protocols, processes, frameworks in place to prevent things like this from happening. But it still happens because the first thing I learned in cybersecurity, bless my professor, is you can never own a perfectly secure system.
Yeah.
True, yeah. There's
It's
always
a myth,
a way.
right? There's no
always a
100%
way.
secure
No
system.
way. No
Due to
way.
the nature of the internet? Is that why?
No, that is a big factor
Yeah.
because in the end, most of these attacks are coming from the internet, right?
Yeah.
So if you're connected to the internet, you're susceptible to all these kind of threats. But it's much more than that because it's not only technologies. It's not only the data and the assets and the devices that you need to be worried about. It's also humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
The human error part. That's what you're talking about.
And
Exactly.
humans
I think that's
always
how they
make
got
mistakes.
hacked. Yeah.
Because it is very easy
Right.
for them. Like, for example, if you just receive an email, no matter how trained you are, maybe to the untrained eye,
Yeah.
you just receive the email and then you go click.
Absolutely.
And you click to,
Maybe the
and that's
company, hold on a sec, correct me if I'm wrong, Anas. Maybe the company has sophisticated cybersecurity measures and intrusion detection systems in place and all the things you mentioned, frameworks, processes and all that.
Yeah.
But one idiotic employee, and I'm sorry for using the term idiot. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too harsh. Let's
Actually,
just
no,
say-
just
no,
use it.
not
It is
idiotic. I'm sorry.
naive.
Let's just say
naive is a nicer word.
ignorant. One ignorant employee gets duped, I think that's the app description, into opening something like whether an email or a text message or any other type of attacks, right? Through some payloads, attachment. Maybe that employee is the reason why.
No, but the
whole
thing is,
happened.
Adam, it's not that it's just like he's ignorant or he's naive or he's like idiotic. The thing is, even with experts, it happens.
No,
you know?
but experts are less
Even
likely.
with experts,
It's less
it might
likely.
happen.
No,
Yeah,
experts are less prone
Yeah, but the
to
thing is,
opening
you have
things
to
like
understand
this.
that you're dealing with humans. They're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
always attentive
That's
in
why
everything.
that's why it's called social engineering, right?
Exactly.
The social engineering, the way they trick you. I think you guys know about how they do this, right? Through urgency, through saying that your account got suspended, but
Blah,
all
blah,
the-
blah.
all these
Something
things
that
are
is,
basic,
like,
So
man.
important.
these are what's called phishing.
Yeah,
Phishing,
phishing,
yeah.
So
attacks and Scareware as well. Oh, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the episode on Netflix. Do you remember that episode on Netflix? The one about the guy that got hacked and then got extorted. Remember, Nart? Did you watch that episode?
No, I
Black
didn't
Mirror?
watch it. No.
Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Do you remember that episode?
Yeah.
That kid, teenager, his sister used his computer. Then there was malware on his computer. He tried downloading some anti-malware program, which had malware itself.
Wait.
And then the hackers gained access to his computer, and then they started spying on him. And then, of course, the kid was going on some, let's just say,
Yeah, but in
inappropriate
hopes
websites.
for what? Oh, okay, for the
And then
websites.
they caught
okay.
him. They caught him doing something inappropriate, and they recorded the whole thing. And then they sent him a message saying, "We know what you did. We know what you're watching." He watched something very bad,
Okay.
and he's a teenager, and so they started blackmailing him. They said, "Do this now. There's this number. We're gonna call you on the." You remember that episode?
Oh, yeah.
Then they
I've
started.
seen it, I've seen
they
it.
blackmailed him, and it was horrible. One thing led to another. First, they asked him to do something bad. They asked him to rob a bank.
He goes out, he drives a car and stuff, and he goes
Then
on
he gets
like a mission.
gun, and then they force him to do heinous crimes, and in the end, they still catch him. In the end, they still release all that blackmail, and his mother finds out, and it's horrible. So, Anyway, I think we digressed a lot. The point is, it's human error.
Yeah,
and that's Scareware
It's the same
tactics.
thing with ransomware. If you pay the guy, you still don't guarantee that it gives you your data back.
Absolutely.
You know,
But
so
Anas, why do they
that's
still
why.
pay? Why? For example, Garmin, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, correct me
The
if
thing
I'm
is, how do you know that they're gonna hold, the end of the bargain? Like how?
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Anas,
You don't. You just pray.
You
that
just
he
pay
does.
in
And there's a
hopes.
lot of these guys, and a lot of these companies, even though they're high-profile companies and they have their own cybersecurity teams and all, and they must have called the FBI and the CIA and all these things, but they still paid. I remember Garmin paid. They coughed up $10 million because their systems, everything was down. Their processes, their systems, their services were down for a few days, and they're losing. They're bleeding money. And imagine if you're a big company like Garmin, and your systems are down, and your watches no longer work properly, your devices no longer work.
So obviously you have to bite the bullet and just pay.
They forced their hand. Anas, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
What do you think?
I mean, companies, especially like Garmin, and there's many other examples, pay. In fact, even better, because I've seen this with my own eyes. I've seen this in cybersecurity talks, and they, were openly talking about how they budget for ransomwares. I just find that ridiculous.
They budget for ransomware. That is
I think
crazy.
they prepare themselves.
What?
Yeah, in advance.
What?
100,000 dirhams. Okay, these
Wow.
are for raises.
This is crazy, man.
200,000 dirham, dollars for some new investments. 100,000 for IT, 50,000 for ransomware.
Just in case.
For the bad guys.
Oh, that's crazy, man.
But because there's sometimes nothing you can do, especially if you don't have any backups. And you could try a couple of techniques to get your data back, and sometimes they work, sometimes if you're lucky. But otherwise, there is no solution. So how can you get your hands, especially if they encrypt really sensitive data,
Yeah.
source codes of your applications, the things that make Garmin what it is
Yeah.
in terms of data, all encrypted, you're gonna end up cuffing them.
Customer data,
Yeah, of course.
designs, marketing data, all that
Exactly.
stuff,
Yeah, but the
right?
thing is, you have
Exactly.
to know one thing. If big companies are just like preparing themselves for such attacks, then this means that this is always happening, especially with big
Yeah,
companies. So
absolutely.
if they're deciding, like with big companies, to just keep money on the side for such attacks, then these things are obviously happening.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can happen to anyone in us.
Yes.
Do you remember when Microsoft itself got hacked? This is unrelated to the SolarWinds incident, but Microsoft Exchange servers were also infected with malware, if you remember. And Microsoft tried to patch it up, but thousands of computers got affected. So if Microsoft and all these companies that we
And
mentioned,
this is Microsoft you're talking about.
imagine if
Microsoft,
Microsoft can get
governments.
hacked, then what about me and you, the
No,
average individuals, man?
like the
what do
average
we-
individual
What
is
chance
just-
do we
is just like
stand
an
against those
appetizer.
bad guys?
We're just safe because the bad guys don't really care about us.
Absolutely.
exactly. That's true.
The
Yeah,
moment they
that's the
decide-
misconception.
Absolutely, yeah.
Small companies, small and medium companies,
We're actually safer, I think, because it's not a target.
don't invest or don't even pay much attention to cybersecurity,
Right.
to this very topic that we're talking about, because put a firewall, put an antivirus,
And that's it.
and that's
and
it,
it's gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine. But
Yeah.
in reality, it's just you're just hoping that
Nothing happens.
these guys that nothing happens.
They don't target you. They don't
That
place you in
target
your crosshairs,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But everyone's a target. Everyone is a target.
Guys,
This
do you
is the
remember
reality.
do you remember when CD Projekt Red got hacked? Do you remember Cyberpunk 2077?
The game that you played?
Yeah, guys, this is crazy. I remember one of the reasons the hackers attacked CD Projekt Red was because they were not happy with the results. No, they were not happy with the game. You remember how glitchy the game was?
It was.
So they're like, we're going to fix it for you. So they hacked CD Projekt Red and they took their source code and they left them a message and also ransomware note saying $5 million. And we also, by the way, we took your source code and you got to fix it. Or else we'll fix it for you.
And did they do it? Did they get the 5 million?
I don't remember what happened, but I remember CD Projekt Red was in hot waters at the time. Everybody was shocked. They got hacked.
Let me talk about, since we're in the subject of talking about examples of cybersecurity attacks.
Yeah.
Some of these are very big ones, right? The SolarWinds one was a very big one because it not affected only SolarWinds, but thousands and thousands of their customers,
Right.
which is crazy. And it was smart. The bad guys, they put the malware inside their software update.
Yeah.
And they sell software.
You never know.
So these customers,
See, that's what I'm saying. You would
this
never
is the
know.
crazy part.
And updates is part of the updates are very important to cybersecurity. So
Right.
you're upgrading, you're pushing these updates on your phones. When you update your phones, you're doing it to get new features. Yeah, that's a part of it. But the other part is that you don't normally see is you're patching all of the vulnerabilities.
Security
that happen
patches, yeah.
in your phone. So these are
Right.
many of these are actually security patches to protect your iPhones from the vulnerabilities that come out.
Right.
Vulnerabilities are weaknesses in the code or in the software
Right.
that the iPhone uses.
Right.
And this is why these updates and patches are important.
They're
So when you
very
have
important.
thousands of SolarWinds customers, from governments to Microsoft and other organizations pushing that software update
Patches
with the virus
and-
inside, suddenly they're in danger
It's
as well.
just, it spreads and it infects everything.
Yeah,
Right.
so that was a very, very large scale one. But I like to use another one as an example, which is the Target hack, if you've heard about it.
What is the company Target?
Yes.
Target is
You
the
know
shop,
Target,
yeah?
right?
Like,
Yeah,
It's
of
a
course.
retail.
Target.
Oh, okay,
It's one of
okay.
the largest
In the
retail
US.
stores
yeah, in the
Yeah.
US, okay.
like Walmart,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Walmart, yeah.
which happened in 2013. And, so I was talking about how threats can, emerge. How can hackers get access to your systems? There's social engineering, there's malware, there's supply chain attacks,
Right.
insider attacks. And usually it's not one but more of these methods where hackers or threat actors try to get access or try to infiltrate. And Target was an iconic case because similarly, like Microsoft, hundreds of security specialists, huge security operations center with people monitoring the networks 24/7 and millions of dollars of security investments, and still they got hacked. 40 million credit card information got stolen.
Wow.
See, and
60
these are
million.
people who are just like investing and
This is-
paying for cybersecurity, man.
It's a huge number. It was a huge case, and it came at an estimate of $300 million worth of losses.
Whoa.
Right. So
Wow.
how did it happen? And
Don't tell me it was-
such
That's,
a-
Don't
that's
tell me-
the $1,000,000
don't-
question. How did it happen?
Don't tell me it was like an email just
Yeah,
because.
so the crazy part is
Human error.
These $1 million investments are all there. This 24/7, someone 24, a team 24/7 watching everything that is happening, security specialists and all of that. At the end, it was one employee, not even from Target,
Oh my
from one of their third-party vendors, who had access to the Target, Target network, and he fell for a phishing attack. So an email was sent to him.
Yeah.
He opened that the attachment inside the email, which contained the malware, and it infected his device. And when through his device, they gained access to the Target internal network.
Wow.
And that's how they went inside and started.
You see the
stealing
power and the
information.
Man,
difference.
that's the human element. And
No,
by the
not
way,
only the human
you know
element.
what?
I'm saying about you see the power and difference a human can make.
Exactly.
It's
One
either
person.
up or
By the way, guys,
Yes.
I have a little confession to make, but thank God nothing happened. But I have a good background in cybersecurity. I'm not a cybersecurity expert by any means, but I do follow up on the topic, and I know how to protect myself. At least I know the basics that I know about the topic. So here's what happened with me. This is an example of how humans can be. There's human error.
Okay.
If I myself was about to be duped, then what about the normal average
This is
individual?
the thing that I was trying to say.
This
to
is
you.
what happened. So maybe we should cut them some slack.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we shouldn't call them idiotic or ignorant. Ignorant can be, ignorant is the best term to describe
Even
it, right?
the best of us
can fall for this.
These these phishing emails, they just keep getting smarter and smarter,
More sophisticated.
and more sophisticated. Yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you, in my case, what happened, Dennis. So I'm working in this company, and I got this email, and it was urgent. Look at how sophisticated that was. This is crazy. The way they engineered the whole thing, man. I told my boss later on. Of course, it's always something urgent. It's either something urgent or something important. So it says urgent. Adam, I need you to do this. They even know my name. It's not hard to get someone's name, by the way. Just Google them up, find them on LinkedIn. You can find what they do, which company they work at.
Or you can find it also on the email itself.
Yeah, even his email or number, you can find those things
Privacy
easily, man.
is a different topic.
You can still, you can find your business card. When you give away your business card to someone, your business card is public data now. Anyway, the point is that person sent me an email which was malware infested, and I had no idea. And that person tried to impersonate my boss, saying, "Adam, I need you to quickly look at this file and something like that. Look at this file and tell me if this is correct. This is urgent, please. Blah blah blah." And he sent me a zipped file as an attachment. He or she, I don't know, an attachment. I almost believed that this was my boss because he even used my boss's credentials, his name and whatever.
Wow.
Just before I almost clicked on the zip file, I'm like, wait a minute, something sounds a little bit off. And this is my personal way. And
Why
tell me
would
if
he
this is
send
good.
you something zipped in the first place?
I don't know. It was something. It's a zip file.
Usually zip files that's one of the red flags.
Yeah, of course.
But it doesn't have to be. It could
That's
also
the
be
reason
PDF, right? Anas? PDF or even Word
Yeah,
documents.
it can be any kind of document.
Yeah. So, I almost clicked on it, and I'm like, this is my personal way, by the way, of detecting whether or not it's malware or virus or anything. Tell me, Anas, if this is a good idea. I checked the sender's address at the last minute, just before opening it, and it turns out to be it's not from our company. He impersonated my boss's name. He impersonated his credentials. He tried to pretend to be my boss, but the email was sent from blah, blah, blah at some blah, 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 .com. So that's how I found out that this is not legit. This is not my boss. I don't know who the hell this is. And he sent me multiple emails like this, by the way. And then I informed my boss. My boss freaked out a bit. And then he said, be careful. You know what I mean? So I almost fell for that, guys. So this is how sophisticated phishing attacks can be. And I have no idea why somebody would target our company. I mean, we're not one of those large corporations, So
As I said, it's large, small, it doesn't matter what size you are. You are going to get these kind of emails. And you are susceptible to these kind of threats. So the least you could do is, have the... you don't have to spend so much money, on technologies and, make these kind of investments, but at least educate your employees.
Absolutely. Training.
Have, I would say, the minimum level of, the minimum amount of technologies that could provide you with that basic level of security. That would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with a strategy of how we're gonna grow on that later on. And so you talked about email, but I think you're gonna get to that
but wait a minute,
on,
Anas,
right?
you didn't answer my question. This is my question. Is it a good way to detect or at least identify if this is malicious or not? By looking at the sender's address. This is my personal way.
True.
It worked. It has worked for me for years, by the way. Yeah. So I get an email, for example. I look at the email. Of course, all phishing attacks, they try to pretend to be legit, Netflix, PayPal. You get a lot of these emails. And some of them might have grammar mistakes or some of them might look a little bit off. But these could be deceiving because now they're getting smarter and smarter. They might copy paste a real PayPal email and it might look legit to you. So the only way, in my opinion, to identify if this is malicious or not is to look at the sender's address. If the email is coming from, for example, accounts@netflix.com, I am pretty confident.
Not only senders, but what I realized from my perspective is the urgency of the email.
Yeah.
something that is urgent, blah blah blah. You need to do
Yeah,
this.
that's
you
one
need
of
to do
the- that's
that.
one of the
And
techniques.
also, when they do this, you have to know is that when they do this, when they come up with this format, this is the reason why they're doing this is to grab your attention.
Of course.
To know that this is something like definitive, like you have to do something about
Something
it.
urgent, yeah.
Yes.
Something that
Yeah.
requires
So
your
that's the
attention.
reason why they do
So
this.
what do you think, Anas, about this? I look at the sender's address, and if the sender's address is not a legit address, for example, at netflix.com, at paypal.com, at microsoft.com,
Something that is official.
then it's not real. Blah, 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 at blah, 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 .com. It's not Netflix. It's not
And
PayPal.
It's crazy how
Yeah.
many people fall
Fall
for
for
it.
They
this.
fall for
even,
that.
even if they
even
look
though
at it.
the sender's email is complete
Nonsense.
gibberish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they still
yeah.
fall for that.
Sure,
Yeah?
they still fall for
But
it.
do you
And-
think it's a good way, Anas, to at least try to identify this way?
You're 100% right. In fact, I'd say my number one advice
Yeah,
to if you want to see if an email is legit or not
yeah.
is look at who's sending it.
That's true. That's the
that's
first
my
thing that
that's
I do.
the first thing
That's-
I do
That's very good.
from any email that I receive is I just
And
check who
plus,
sent
also
this
to the
email.
trained eye, dude, you can
What?
tell that this email is fake.
Yeah, exactly.
And
You
it
can
will
tell.
have like
You
grammar
don't-
mistakes.
You don't need a trained eye, really.
No.
It's
Yeah.
Like I
usually,
said, that they might look very real and legit.
Yeah,
They're
sometimes they
getting
do.
more and more
Sometimes they
sophisticated
do.
now.
if it's usually Adam Lash and then one day it's as Adam Lash with two A's.
Exactly.
Come on,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
That's
But
the word
guys-
impersonating to be Adam. Of
course.
Come on.
I'll never forget a few years ago, Emirates Airlines. There was a phishing attack on many customers pretending to be Emirates. They only changed one letter. Emirates, right? Instead of the A, there's another letter with a little something on it. I don't know what letter that is. Do you know about that, Anas? There's a letter A with a little dash on it in the keyboard.
Not even.
They changed that letter.
Yeah, there's
Oh.
also an A that is inversed. and that would
Yeah,
work.
exactly.
I've seen that somewhere recently. and
Yeah,
I
come
thought,
on,
okay,
man.
They sent
okay,
phishing
that's,
emails.
That's getting nuts, because
Exactly, guys. They sent phishing emails to Emirates customers saying that congratulations, Emirates, whatever
Yeah, yeah,
anniversary,
I remember,
tickets,
you won tickets,
you won
blah, blah,
airline
blah.
tickets, blah blah
And
blah.
man, that thing
And
spreads
then,
like a
man,
virus.
a lot of people fell for that, and they got duped, and they stole their credit card information.
True.
God knows what. They stole
Right.
money. So that's like one of the ways. Yeah.
And
Right,
you know
so-
what happens is also when you click on it, it doesn't only steal, but once you click on it, you also send it to your friends.
Ah, yes. There's another type.
Yeah,
Anas, tell us more about this
it
type of
sends
attack.
it to your friends, like to your contacts, like on WhatsApp, and,
Yeah, so-
and it shows that you're sending it.
Yeah, this type
So-
of malware that infects your phone and starts
Exactly.
sending itself
it's
out.
called an account takeover.
Account
There.
takeover.
Yeah, and by definition, they're taking control of your email address and using it to spread their the phishing email, spread the malicious
Their reach,
links and
you could say.
attachments,
Right.
and it's very easy to do. That's also part of the problem because okay, you're checking the sender. The sender seems to be NART, but what the hell is NART sending, right? Well, what is
Right.
Exactly.
why is NART sending me? You've won
But
$1
that's-
million.
but
And
that's
You're
also-
right. So the sender could be legit,
It
but the
could- yeah,
content is a
yeah,
little
that's
bit
why it's not
suspicious.
enough, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
If you know just this one piece of information, please check the sender's email.
Yes.
You're 80% better than where you
Absolutely.
were before.
Yeah.
In terms
Exactly.
of knowing if an email is legit or not.
Yeah.
What's the next thing that I'll look at? It's attachments and links.
Yes.
Are you being sent attachments and links? Because this is how usually these viruses
These
they
things
get to you.
Exactly.
You have to click on this link, click on this attachment in order to receive that malware.
Right.
So check this attachments, check this link, see if it, do you expect this kind of thing, from whoever's sending it?
Right.
Look for kind of red flags
Right.
that we can talk about.
But
in
what about
regards to-
unsolicited emails, Anas? So, you're talking about unsolicited emails. Sometimes unsolicited emails can be legit. Like, for example, I'm a company, you're a company. As part of our B2B marketing, I send you an email, which is legit, has nothing, no problems, no malware. I send you an attachment. You receive that email from me. You don't know me. How would you know? It's still an attachment.
No, but sometimes
Like I'm sending you a promotion with our latest products, a PDF file. Now, some companies have a policy. I think you're definitely aware of this, Anas. Some companies have a security policy that does not allow you to open external links or PDF or attachments, right? Does not automatically download even the pictures in the email. It blocks everything. You know this.
Yeah,
true.
It comes with the email security
Right.
control that you.
But some
probably-
organizations
they-
have
they
even
probably
further
have.
security measures. They don't
Yeah.
even let you open external links or whatever. But the thing is, Anas, if I'm a company and I'm sending you stuff like that, how would you even know? We're both unsolicited. So he's a hacker. I'm a company. I'm legit. He's not. He's trying to do the phishing scam. I am trying to send you real information. I'm a company. I'm trying to sell you a product. We both send you emails. Now you received his and mine. Both unsolicited, both have attachments. You can't just simply say, don't open any
but the thing is-
unsolicited email.
Wait,
Right?
but the thing
But-
is, when you receive emails, sometimes the email itself knows. It just like sends it as a spam or junk, and the important ones it just stays in the inbox.
Yeah, true. But
So that helps.
no, but
also.
suppose, just for the sake of argument, suppose your email bypassed the spam filter on his Outlook somehow. Because Outlook now is getting
It
more and
happens.
more,
It
it's
happens.
getting
It happens,
smarter,
yes.
right, Anas? It's getting smarter. It's now identifying spam much better than before. Outlook does that. Even
All
mail.
email
Most of the
security,
email
yeah.
clients. So suppose you got his email and my email, we're both unsolicited. How could you know, Anas? You can't just simply say, don't open any unsolicited email that you don't know the sender.
Of course.
You know, what do you do?
You can still get these kind of emails, but at the end of the day, you know, it's is Nart sending from a free mail or is sending from a corporate email address? If so, does that domain domain that Nart is sending from,
Right.
is it the same as the company that he proclaims to be?
Right.
There are factors that you can look at to quickly distinguish if this is a legit email or not.
Right.
But in often cases, it becomes increasingly difficult, and this is where you start looking for other signs like the content of the email itself. What is he asking for, even if it's unsolicited.
Sometimes they just ask you to check something, like this email that I got. Please check this now. It's urgent.
Please check this. Please
Check the
click on
numbers.
this link.
Check.
Update your password.
Yeah.
We've changed our account.
No, these are
I've
obvious.
seen this. No.
These are obvious.
I've seen many companies fall for this one.
Wow.
Where they get an email, and it just so happens to be at the right time.
Like an
we've
update
changed-
or something.
We've changed our bank account details. Please send to this bank account. And I've seen big companies fall for it
They fall for that. Human error.
to this day.
Yeah.
Because these attacks, they're not just simply emails that are being sent.
Yeah.
It actually gets much more sophisticated than that. I'll give an example of that happened with one of my clients. So just a regular employee.
Okay.
And this goes back to what you were talking about earlier, Nart, which is the urgency part. Sometimes,
Yeah.
these phishing emails appear to request for something urgent or, some kind of thing that
Or
you need
scareware
to
tactics. And scareware tactics like the Netflix episode. We know what you did yesterday.
Yeah.
At 10 p.m. I don't know. Something like that. I don't know. Like scareware tactics. These are, I think, the scariest emails, right? The scariest types
but
of
if they
blackmail.
send this, they will know. You will know immediately that you have been hacked.
By
Sometimes
the way,
they
I
like
got
to
an
just-
email like this once. Somebody trying to scare me, saying, "I know what you did, but thank God I'm innocent. I didn't do anything, so I didn't give a damn." I said, "Like, so what did I do? I know what you did yesterday." I didn't care because I have nothing to hide. But the problem is, if they send you something and they really have something on you, blackmail material.
Yeah, because
That is scary.
sometimes they're just called phishing. and
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be called spear phishing, right? And you have
Right.
different types of phishing.
Right.
These are just two types. Spear phishing is a targeted attack.
Mm.
Right.
So I know who Adam is.
Right.
I have information on Adam, and I'm going to use that information to
Isn't that scareware?
To gain
That
leverage, to gain
scareware?
something
not
out of them.
necessarily. So in my example,
Yeah.
just a normal employee, just nothing. He's not part of the IT or security. He's just regular employee.
Yeah.
And so one day, his boss sends him an email that he is in urgent need of money, and it needs to be, it needs to be the same day. He needs to send. I think at that time it was around $15,000
Yeah.
dollars or something.
Was it a legit email address?
It was not legit, obviously.
okay.
So it couldn't have been legit.
Okay.
But It's called user impersonation.
Right.
So the hacker pretended to be the employee's boss in order to deceive him.
Right.
And the idea is the hacker, was actually smart about it. He sent this email when his boss was on leave. So he knew that his boss would be on leave.
Somehow he knew.
Somehow he knew.
I think that's the other type of attacks, right? And
It's
that's
like tracking.
insider attacks. That's what you call it in the industry?
No,
Insider attacks?
Insider attacks is...
Like, how did they know?
Insider attacks is when the guy who's malicious is not outside, is inside your company.
Yeah,
Yes.
inside
So
the
if the
company,
employee
yes.
himself is the
in that
threat
case,
actor,
right.
is who's malicious,
Right.
is who wants to cause harm, then it's called an insider
attack, yes.
which is also very, very difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
Because
It's
you're
worse,
talking about,
actually.
you're talking about
Yeah.
people that have privileged access to, if you're talking about companies, they have privileged access to your data,
Right.
to your networks. They can easily access that kind of information and maybe exfiltrate it, sell it, steal it,
And do whatever with it.
crypto mining.
Anas, what can you tell us about zero-day exploits as well? We've heard this on the news a lot. Zero-day exploits, big cases, high-profile cases happening. What can you tell us about zero-day exploits?
Yeah. So these threats now are getting more and more sophisticated. So we started with viruses, worms, malwares,
Trojans.
social engineering, Trojans,
Yes.
and then there's insider attacks. Then you have
We also talked about human error, obviously.
human error,
which
yes.
requires training.
which is part of social engineering,
Right,
because
right.
a lot of social engineering is deceiving someone
Yes.
to do what you want, like in the case of the poor employee who
Right.
actually ended up. I don't know how he fell for it, to be honest. I still don't know, but
Did he end up
You'd be
paying?
surprised
Yes,
how
he
people
paid.
fall
He
for these
paid.
things. Yeah.
he paid. He went to the bank, and then he wired that money.
man.
And once
That's for the
money got
Target's
transferred-
case,
Yeah.
No. That was for one of my clients.
Oh, clients,
that
yeah,
just
okay.
employee who sent the money to his boss because I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe he wanted to impress him or something. And the poor guy,
Poor
he
guy.
never got his
I
money
have,
back.
I have something to say. The thing is, like in case of an email, if you just receive an email and then you click it, you just click the email, you don't click the contents inside it. Do you still get hacked?
Good question.
Yeah. So remember what I started with. Please look at the sender's email
Yes.
address.
Okay.
I emphasize and I underline that. 3
Yes.
times. And then you look for attachments and links.
Yeah.
No, I mean
So
before
they can
you go to the
only-
attachments, like you just received it. And
If you click on the email, you
Just
click on
opening the email, nothing else.
You
No
should-
opening
you-
of
you should be
attachments.
fine.
you should be fine. Yes, this is the thing
There
that I was
could be,
concerned about.
Advanced techniques that are called zero-click attacks. I haven't seen it in email, but I've seen it with SMS. I think
You're talking
Apple-
about the Apple exploit?
Yes. Yes.
Ah,
So
NSO,
Apple
what was it called?
exploits.
NSO? Pegasus. The Pegasus payload. Oh
Right,
my God,
right,
that was
yeah.
horrible, man.
Yeah, which means that you could receive an SMS and without even clicking it.
Sheesh.
But Anas, the
could.
good news I heard is that these types of attacks, when Apple responded, is that they are usually have a short shelf life. They're super expensive to execute,
Yeah.
and they don't usually target the normal population. They
that's
target
true.
some
That's true.
And I
other
have
people.
also two
That's true.
examples that happened to me, and just like to mention it to the audience, is that it happened to from Do. A lot of customers received messages. They're like impersonating that they're due, and they fall for it.
Yeah.
And once they fall for it, they end up paying lots of money, man. And they checked. One of my friends fell for this, and he ended up paying 50 grand for no reason.
Wow, man. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
man, and he was like extremely bummed about it.
Man, this is what
Imagine
we're talking
50
the
grand,
tragedy
that's not a
behind
joke.
cyber. This is why cybersecurity is extremely
Yeah.
important. But Anas, tell us more about zero-day exploits.
Yeah. So zero-day attacks are probably the most difficult to detect because they've never been seen before.
Right.
So zero-day exploits.
Why is it called zero-day?
It's called zero-day because it's been 0 days since since anyone identified
The vulnerability.
the vulnerability.
Ah, I see.
Exactly.
Okay.
So zero-day exploits refer to exploits which are, taking advantage of or exposing these vulnerabilities or weaknesses again in your systems, your softwares, and your data, and whatever it is. And they're called zero-day again, yeah, like you said, because no one has seen them before. They're so difficult to detect because these antiviruses and these security tools, they don't know. They don't have any information on these type of.
So you're trying to tell me that they cannot even detect it if there's a malware.
They can't detect it. No.
Oh, okay.
But Anas, the thing is, who patches them up? I think people like Apple and Google patch them up, right?
It depends on the type of software, but I could if I build a piece of software, that software could have vulnerabilities, and
that you even are not aware of.
That I'm not even not aware of.
Yeah.
And they could be zero-day vulnerabilities if it's a new kind of piece of software.
I remember once Chrome had, it was on the news, they discovered a zero-day exploit. That's how I remembered the name. Chrome had a zero-day exploit and it was kind of severe. That's crazy. How could something like Chrome have a zero-day exploit? And then Google urged people to patch up their Chrome browsers.
Any piece of software could have zero-day exploits, be it Chrome or Microsoft or Google or any of the softwares that we use.
Yeah.
And obviously they wouldn't know about it, and their response is usually patching or they send out patches, update your systems, update. Right. And the scary thing about zero-day vulnerabilities is, so you've invested, you can invest millions of dollars in cyber in technologies, but
to develop the security of
all of them could miss it, because
right.
It's never been seen before. It's new. It's very difficult to detect, and this is where many companies could have zero-day exploits,
right,
for months and months before it gets detected by Microsoft.
For example,
right.
like speaking of this, which is like something that happened to me, which is banks. We've been talking about big companies, being hacked, but also banks. Like right. I got hacked twice, and they stole from my bank. And obviously, thanks to the bank, after like maybe...
You got hacked twice?
Twice, dude. Twice from the same bank.
They stole your credit card information?
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
And I was in a legit website. But, thanks to them, they called me back and they told me,
The bank confirmed with you?
Yes, the bank called with me. And then they told me, like, did you do this transaction, blah, blah, blah. And your account at the moment... So it's getting stolen, and the amount is this much. Is that you? And I say no.
They stopped your credit card,
and then they stop it immediately.
Right.
They just like cancel it, and then you apply for a new one.
Yeah.
And these are banks, you're saying. So anything is possible.
Yeah. Guys, to wrap up this episode, it's a huge topic.
Yeah, there is.
Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time left. But to wrap up, guys, Anas, what could you tell us? Some practical, actionable steps that we as individuals or even corporations can take to protect ourselves from these horrible bad guys. Yeah. Please list them for us.
Yeah. Before I get into that, I just thought of a very nice example actually that happened with one of the department stores here.
Yeah.
Not to name them.
Okay.
Where. So these electronic stores, you go inside and these laptops are open and you can
you just want to check the laptops or
the
buy
display
them.
items.
The display
someone installed crypto mining software on all of these devices.
What?
And has been using them for months to mine for Bitcoin, which is a crazy but very smart idea because
for free at a retailer.
Exactly. And these devices are sitting there generating money, and they only found out about it months later.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
So these the type of cybersecurity threats so cybersecurity threats are evolving.
Absolutely.
There's new type of attacks, new types of malware.
We haven't even talked about AI, by the way, and machine learning, and how these things are used both as protective
AI
and as
is being weaponized as well. Now there are AI-based attacks that are happening, which means that now when AI is trying to hack you, when AIs, they learn, they get smarter, they understand, they look for ways to evade your systems, and this is where things kind of get
tricky.
Yeah, tricky, but it's
It gets
topic
tricky and
for
more
another
challenging.
But they
day.
also
Yeah.
use AI these days in intrusion detection systems, right? As
Yes,
protective systems.
Of course.
Yeah.
And the other side, so
the
red
good
side,
guys and the bad guys.
they're both using AI.
AIs
and
are fighting each other.
and that's part of,
Yeah.
and that's all part of what I'm going to talk about next.
Yes.
Which is, look, so yes, cybersecurity threats are evolving.
Yeah,
Hackers are getting smarter.
yeah,
These malwares are getting more sophisticated.
yes,
So what can we do?
yeah,
Well, as an organization or as even just an individual, I like to segment it into three categories. First
Right.
of all, you need to look at the technologies. So going back to the house,
right,
right? You have the fence, you have the gate that can be your firewall. You have the locks, you have the that's your encryption software. You have the
the locks are the
Fences
encryption.
also.
Yeah, that's a beautiful analogy. The locks are encryption.
you
Cool.
have the bodyguard that could be your web application firewall.
Nice. Okay.
You
The firewall,
have
yeah,
the
true.
CCTV system that could be something else.
Right.
So all of these are cybersecurity technologies that
Right.
you're investing, you're paying money for
Right.
to protect your assets, to protect your data, to protect your devices, to protect your network, to protect your email as well.
Yeah.
You know,
So this
and
amplifies it and it helps you
and,
from
yeah, so-
getting attacked.
So all of these technologies, they help you, of course, they secure. It's not enough. It's, I would say, you're 30% there, because you still need to look at the process, which is number two. You know, the process could be the cybersecurity framework, the standards, the compliance, the auditing. These type of, you know, these type of credible strategies and proven methods of how to, you know, protect your systems. What can you do?
Right.
As now, I'm talking from a cybersecurity professional, perspective.
Right.
What do you need to do in order to secure your data? So, okay, these tools are all, technologies are all nice to have, but you need to know how to use them.
Right.
You need to know how to connect them together. You need to know how to comply with, you know, your the laws, rules, and regulations, the standards, because they're there to help protect you.
Right.
To help. So I would say follow these standards, follow these compliance rules and regulations.
Right.
They're there to, they're proven, they're credible, they're there to help you.
Right.
And the third and probably the most important part of all of this is
The human element.
Yeah, human element.
Training,
Exactly. So
Gavin.
human awareness.
Yeah.
Sure.
Security awareness is very
Yes,
important.
very
you know.
important.
Oh, okay,
And
thank
Because
you
a lot
so
of these
much.
attacks happen not because of the human error. That's
yeah,
that's
definitely.
exactly.
Many of these Target. There is, I think,
Acer, Garmin.
Acer,
Yeah.
Garmin. Many examples. They
Anas,
started from one employee.
What do you think of this analogy? I once heard an ex-hacker talking about this, who's now a white hat. What do you call them? White hackers. White hat.
White hat, yeah.
White hats, right? So what's the difference between a white hacker and a hacker?
So white hat is he's a hacker.
Ethical hacker,
But
right?
but yeah, he plays with the good guys. You know,
plays
he's an
with the
ethical
good
hacker.
guys. Plays with the good guys.
Most of them are ex-hackers.
Yeah, black hats. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially the famous ones. Black hats are.
Black hats are the evil people. So I remember him saying, this is a very beautiful analogy that you already mentioned. It seems that this analogy is famous in the cybersecurity world. The house, the locks, the fence, all these things. He said that, okay, if I'm a bad guy and I want to intrude, I want to enter this house, I want to steal something, I'm not going to go through the door. The door's super strong, has locks. You know, this is what he's saying. So for example, let's say the door is the firewall.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through the firewall. I'm not going to go through it. He says that the weakest link in the system is the point of intrusion.
Right.
Let's just say if I can find an open window from the side, this
because
is how I can enter.
In the end,
Yeah.
it's a human, it's a trusted human that's going through the gate.
Absolutely.
True.
But that trusted human, you don't know what he's carrying with him.
Well, exactly.
You know? You don't even know if he is evil or not.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
once he
That
decides
is
to
true.
flips.
Yeah.
So,
So it doesn't
yeah.
matter. The point is, it doesn't matter if you have a super strong system. cybersecurity system,
doesn't-
it could
yeah.
still get hacked because
could
it's the
still get
weakest
hacked.
link in the chain, right? The whole
It's the
thing.
weakest link.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
This
why
topic is
awareness
really
is
amazing.
very important.
Thank you
Right.
so much, Anas, for being here. And to
Thanks, man.
our wonderful audience, do please like and subscribe to our channel on the Adam and Nard Show, and stay tuned for further episodes.
And don't get hacked, guys. Please listen to what this guy said. Check your email addresses. Make sure the email content is good. Don't open any email attachments if you don't know who the sender is. And what else, Anas, you said?
Please,
Get training.
for the love of God,
Yes.
check who's sending your email.
Check who's sending your email.
Who's sending your email.
Oh,
I
Anas,
see this a lot, you know,
Anas,
with my
just
clients.
before we end this, we haven't talked about one important cybersecurity aspect, which is multi-factor authentication and 2FA. Could you
Yeah.
please advise people also on how
That's-
to
so
strengthen their security?
That goes back to the last question you asked me. How
Yes.
to, well, you know, what are the steps to improve?
Yes.
It's and that's part of the process part, which is, you know, and the technology actually. So
Yes.
multi-factor authentication is,
Yes.
you know, when you use something other than a password as a second layer of authenticating into.
I have it for my YouTube channel, by the way. So if
Yeah.
anybody tries to hack my YouTube channel, they can't, because Google sends me a message to my phones. Is that you? Yes. Otherwise, nobody can enter
Yeah,
my.
it could be biometrics as well. It
Yes,
could be
it
a
could be
fingerprint.
biometrics,
It could be
be
an
And
eye
it also
scan.
asks,
code,
it
right?
also
It could-
asks
I
for
have
my
a-
permission too.
Right. It could
I
be a
have
code. Yeah.
hardware. I have a token that has a number that
Right.
you know randomly generates a number for me to
Right.
input after the password.
Right. Some of them have like Google Authenticator. You know, these authenticator apps now, they're pretty famous.
Gmail, Hotmail, I think they all have an option for multi-factor authentication. So
Yes.
if you are worried about someone getting access to your emails, then
You're
I
serious
urge
about
you
your
to,
security.
I urge you to use multi-factor authentication.
For
Definitely.
everything, right, Enes? For all your accounts. Everything you
Exactly.
have.
Everything that you hold dear. You know?
Yes.
Anything that is
But
extremely
think
valuable.
of it this way, you know, you
Yes.
might think that Netflix, someone getting access to it is not important,
Yes.
but if he has the password to your Netflix, and most 9 times out of 10, you're going to use the same password everywhere else,
Yeah.
then you still have
Obviously,
to.
you can get hacked.
Right. Thank you so much, Enes. We're so glad to have you today on the show. Thank you, Nart. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show. And we hope that you have a safe cybersecurity day. Protect your devices, guys.
Until
Thank
next
you.
time on the Adam and Nard Show.
Thank you, guys.